Welcome to Learn English Through Stories, where you improve your English listening skills by enjoying simple and meaningful stories. In every story, you will learn new vocabulary, everyday expressions, and natural English sentences that you can use in real life. So, relax, listen carefully, and let's begin today's story. Have you ever felt that you wanted to change your life? Have you ever looked at yourself and thought, I know I can do better, but I don't know where to start? Maybe you have dreams. Maybe you want to learn something new. Maybe you want to become more confident. But somehow, days pass, months pass, and you remain in the same place. This was exactly how I felt 1 year ago. My life looked normal from the outside. I had a job. I had responsibilities. I had people around me. But inside, I felt empty. I felt like I was simply repeating the same day again and again. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch videos, sleep, then repeat. Every morning I promised myself, today I will do something productive. But when the day ended, I realized I had done nothing different. I was waiting for a better life, but I was not taking steps to create it. 1 year ago, I was a completely different person. I had many dreams, but I lacked discipline. I wanted to improve my English. I wanted to learn new skills. I wanted to become healthier. I wanted to become more confident when talking to people. But I always found excuses. Sometimes I said, I don't have enough time. Sometimes I said, I will start when things become easier. Sometimes I blamed my situation. I thought successful people had something special that I did not have. One of my biggest problems was comparing myself with others. Whenever I opened social media, I saw people achieving amazing things. Someone was getting a new job. Someone was traveling around the world. Someone was starting a successful business. Someone was learning new skills. And I started feeling behind. I started asking myself, why am I not successful? Why is everyone moving forward except me? But comparison only made me unhappy. I was looking at someone else's chapter 10 while I was still writing my chapter 1. I forgot that everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own struggles. Everyone grows at a different speed. One evening, something happened that changed my thinking. It was a normal night. I came home after a tiring day and sat quietly in my room. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. And suddenly, I asked myself, am I really happy with the person I have become? But most of those promises were still unfinished. That night, I understood one truth. Nobody was coming to change my life. I had to do it myself. I picked up a notebook and wrote one sentence. 1 year from today, I want to become a completely different person. Then I created a list. I wrote 5 things I wanted to improve. Number 1, my mindset. Number 2, my health. Number 3, my knowledge. Number 4, my confidence. Number 5, my daily habits. The next morning, I did not make a huge plan. I did not say, I will completely change my life today, because I knew that was unrealistic. Instead, I started with small actions. I woke up 30 minutes earlier. I spent less time on my phone. I started reading a few pages every day. I learned something new every week. I started writing down my goals. At first, these changes looked very small. Honestly, they did not feel powerful. But after a few weeks, I noticed something. I was becoming more disciplined. I was becoming more responsible. And most importantly, I was starting to trust myself again. However, changing my life was not easy. After the excitement of the first few weeks disappeared, reality came back. Some days were difficult. Some mornings I did not want to get out of bed. Some days I returned to my old habits. I felt disappointed. I thought, maybe I cannot change. Maybe this is just who I am. But then I remembered my promise. I was not trying to become perfect. I was trying to become better. I learned that progress is not about never failing. Progress is about continuing even after failure, and that small mindset change made a huge difference. The next few months taught me something that I had never understood before. Changing your life is not about making one big decision. It is about making hundreds of small decisions. Every morning, I had two choices. I could wake up early, or I could press the snooze button. I could read a book, or I could spend another hour scrolling through social media. I could exercise for 30 minutes, or I could tell myself, I'll start tomorrow. None of these choices seemed important at the time. But when I looked back later, I realized that these tiny decisions were slowly creating a completely different version of me. One day, I decided to keep a journal. Every night before going to bed, I wrote 3 things. First, what I had done well. Second, what I could improve. Third, one thing I was grateful for. At first, writing felt strange. Sometimes I didn't know what to write. Some days were ordinary. Nothing exciting happened. But after a few weeks, I noticed something. I was becoming more aware of my actions. Instead of living every day on autopilot, I was paying attention to how I spent my time. I stopped saying, I don't have enough time. Instead, I started asking myself, how am I using the time I already have? That simple question changed my perspective. Another habit I had to learn was saying no. Before that year, I tried to please everyone. If someone asked for my help, I immediately agreed. If my friends wanted to go out, I canceled my own plans. If someone interrupted my work, I accepted it without thinking. I believed that saying yes made me a kind person. But slowly, I realized something. Every time I said yes to something unimportant, I was saying no to my own goals. That realization was difficult. I didn't want to disappoint people, but I also didn't want to disappoint myself. So I started protecting my time. One of my biggest goals was improving my English. At first, I was nervous. Whenever I tried to speak, I worried about making mistakes. I thought people would laugh at me. Because of that fear, I stayed quiet. But then I remembered something. When a child learns to speak, nobody expects perfect grammar. Children make mistakes every day. They pronounce words incorrectly. They forget sentences. Yet they continue speaking. That is why they improve. So I made a promise. I would stop being afraid of mistakes. Every day I listened to English podcasts. I watched English videos. I read simple English stories. I learned 5 new words every day. Then I tried to use those words in my own sentences. Sometimes my pronunciation was not perfect. Sometimes I forgot words. Sometimes I felt embarrassed. But instead of giving up, I laughed at my mistakes and tried again. Little by little, I became more comfortable. I realized that confidence does not come before practice. Confidence comes because of practice. For years, I ignored my health. I slept late. I ate whatever was convenient. I rarely exercised. Then I asked myself one question. How can I expect my mind to perform well if I don't take care of my body? That question stayed with me. I didn't join an expensive gym. I didn't follow a complicated diet. I simply started walking every morning. Some days I walked for 20 minutes. Other days I walked for an hour. I drank more water. I slept earlier. I ate more home-cooked meals. These changes looked small, but after a few months, I had more energy. I could concentrate better. I felt happier. I smiled more often. I realized that health is not only about looking good, it is about feeling strong enough to live the life you want. Around the middle of the year, something unexpected happened. I failed. A goal that I had worked hard for did not go as planned. I felt frustrated. For 2 days, I wanted to quit everything. I asked myself, what's the point? Maybe I'm wasting my time. But then I opened my journal. I read the first page. It reminded me of the person I had been 6 months earlier. That person would have given up immediately. But I wasn't that person anymore. Instead of quitting, I asked myself another question. What can this failure teach me? That changed everything. Failure stopped being my enemy. It became my teacher. Every mistake showed me what I needed to improve. Every challenge made me stronger. I stopped measuring success by perfect results. Instead, I measured success by consistency. If I kept moving forward even slowly, I considered it a successful day. Finally, 1 year passed, 365 days. When I looked at my notebook again, I couldn't believe how much had changed. I was healthier. I was more confident. I had learned new skills. My English had improved. I managed my time better. Most importantly, I trusted myself again. Was my life perfect? No. I still had problems. I still had difficult days. I still made mistakes. But I was no longer waiting for life to change. I had become the person who creates change. That was the biggest victory of all. I finally understood that changing your life is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming the best version of yourself. One decision, one habit, one day at a time. If you are listening to this story today and you feel stuck, remember this. You do not need to change your entire life today. You only need to take one small step. Read one page. Learn one new word. Go for one walk. Write down one goal. Tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that, do it again. A year from now, you may look back and realize that those tiny steps completely changed your life. Because the future is not created by one extraordinary day. It is created by ordinary days lived with extraordinary consistency. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed learning English through this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who is also trying to improve their English. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, every great journey begins with a single step. See you in the next story.